What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Parabellum Podcast. I'm Sean, your host and owner of Parabellum Strength and Fitness. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Life has been super busy, to say the least. If you pay attention to these podcasts that I do, you know that I'm also a full time student, full time business owner, and father of three kids and husband. So life is busy, and sometimes you have to prioritize. And doing a podcast isn't always feasible with three kids running around and me coaching sports, being there with them, and maintaining a high GPA to graduate, as well as running a business. So sometimes you have to let something fall off. And I think every parent understands that for sure. Every person who is a professional definitely understands that as well. But sorry that I haven't been consistent. I will be much better about that going forward because, hey, next semester is my last semester. The Lord's blessed me with the chance to intern with the collegiate strength and conditioning program where I'm a student, and I am thrilled about that and looking forward to it because that's just going to further extend my base of knowledge to go help the people that really I have a heart for, which is youth athletes. And that athlete range from 6 to about 17 is who I really, really enjoy working with because they're like clay. They're moldable. And I think that oftentimes, unless they are the superstar, they get forgotten. And especially in today's world where travel baseball, travel softball, travel soccer, even select football are becoming so prevalent that they are. I know for travel baseball, it's almost killed Little League baseball. Um, a lot of kids are getting left behind. And I think that happens a lot because, you know, every coach does this, whether they want to admit it or not, because it's just laziness. And we as humans are lazy. You see the one superstar kid and you focus on that superstar kid, and everyone else is, well, supporting cast at best. And those supporting cast members could be superstars themselves with the proper training and coaching, but they get left behind. And or parents end up taking their kid to somebody who woke up one day and decided that they were a youth athlete coach. They didn't go to school for it. They haven't played sports or done anything athletic in the last 10 to 20 years, but they just woke up one day and went, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do because there's a market for it." Um, and those youth athletes end up getting coached incorrectly. And I hate that. If you spend any amount of time on social media in order to maybe glean a few things, because that's the cheapest way of doing it, to help your youth athlete, you're going to get inundated with anywhere from 200 differing opinions and differing styles on how to train a youth athlete. Social media could be a great thing or it's a horrible thing. Um, for children between the ages of 3 and 11, they're in motor development. Do they need to lift a whole bunch of weight? No, they need to master their body weight. They need to do a ton of running, jumping, skipping, push ups, scapular retraction. They need to learn how to use their bodies. And you will see that a lot on social media. You'll see some really cool videos of 8 and 9 year olds doing low hurdle jumps, cutting, change of direction, things like that. And they look great unless you really know what you're looking at. And what you end up seeing is that when they run, they kick their butt with their heel. And that's not an efficient manner of running because they're using too many muscles when they could shorten that down and do less movement in order to become faster. That's called proper biomechanics. When you see a youth athlete doing some kind of overhead loaded plate hop, I watched one today with three kids doing a single leg hop with a foot on a box behind them, and they had a plate overhead. The problem was the plate was too far forward and it wasn't directly overhead, which at that age, you know, yes, we do need to be very strict about the form and how they're doing something. And if they can't push it directly overhead and hold it, it's because they don't have the strength to do that. And we need to lighten the load. And all the jumping and the hopping looks awesome. And there is a place for it. But if they're not strong, there is no place for it. You have to develop that base of strength in order to do that plyometric work. And plyometrics is just a rapid stretch and flexion of muscle fibers. It is wonderful for ligament and tendon health. It's wonderful to build good joint stiffness. It's also outstanding to create power and rate of force development, which is really, how hard you're hitting the ground, which is going to be how fast you run. That's how fast you run is determined. It's Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. However hard your foot hits the ground, or the ball of your foot, should I say, that's how hard the ground hits you back and propels you forward or up, whichever one, or laterally. But if we are not creating strength, teaching them how to do a proper squat variation, and that could be just a air squat, a bilateral air squat, that could be a lunge, that could be a split squat. If we're not ensuring that they have the core strength to produce that, all of that running, all that hopping, skipping goes for nothing. Absolutely nothing. They're going to top out by around the age of 8. If they're really good, they're going to top out at around the age of 11. And at that point, awesome. You were great until the age of 11. Awesome. After that, you went downhill. And how many people do we know like that? How many people do we know that, man, what happened to him? He was great when we were growing up, and then he hit like age 12 and it just kind of went to crap. Well, a lot of that is because you hit puberty. Your body changes and develops, especially, for males. But they weren't trained. So if you train someone while they're in the motor development stage, if you're teaching them proper body mechanics, biomechanics, they just get better and better. And if you have a coach who recognizes, hey, they're in a growing spurt, they're going through puberty, their body is changing because that coach recognizes they're getting a little uncoordinated, they're not as strong as they were 2 weeks ago. Okay. So we start teaching them how to move as their body develops. Let me be very clear. There is a foundation and a basis of how someone's body should move, but every human body is different and it's going to move a little bit differently. That's where a coach who is well educated and does have some experience and understands that there's not just one cookie cutter way to train everyone, that's where they're worth their weight in gold. I've got a youth athlete right now. He's a baseball player and a basketball player, and he is very uncoordinated. So what do I spend most of my time focusing on? Coordination, strength, core strength. Because the center of your body, your core, your trunk, if it's weak, everything else is weak. everything else is weak. So I spent a ton of time working with him, unilateral squatting, lunging, things like that to try and build that balance, build that core strength, a lot of planks, a lot of rotational stuff with bands just to build that core strength. Do we do the plyometrics? Yes, we do very low level hops, skips, do a ton of wall sprint switches with him because I'm trying to strengthen his hip flexors, trying to teach him how to hit the ground hard with the ball of his foot. But we have not reached the level that I have even with my 6-year-old. Now, my 6-year-old's a different case. I've had him all of his life. So at age 6, he knows how to brace his core. He has a very strong core. And so when people see him running or they see him, jumping, they automatically go to, oh my God, he's blessed or he's a phenomenon, which he is highly blessed. God has blessed him with athletic talent. I will never take away from what God does. But my son's also trained. There's the difference. And what I kind of want to talk to you today about is I want to give you some statistics for your youth athlete that you really should think about. If your youth athlete, and I'm talking ages 6, 8, let's go with 8, up to the age of 13. If their dream and they express that dream to you, not your dream, their dream, let's make that clear. If their dream is to play collegiate sports, then you've got to get them trained now. And no, odds are, unless you have a degree in exercise science, kinesiology, no, you're not good enough to do it. And that's not me being prideful. That's not me being arrogant. That's just me stating a fact. Unless you are training yourself as an athlete and have that experience plus the education, you as a parent are not going to get them there. You're not. Even if you were a collegiate athlete yourself, you don't have the education to do it. You don't have the knowledge. So I want you to think about this because there are a ton of those kids that they get lost. They get lost because they're not born with it. And we're missing out on fulfilling some of their dreams. And I know there's going to be the argument, well, kids get burned out and then they hate it. And I don't want them to end up hating it. With proper coaching, they don't get burnt out because that coaching is a culture. It's not just telling them what to do. It's building a sense of trust and letting that kid know that as a coach, I care about you and I want to see you succeed. So they're not going to get burnt out. And some of those same parents that will say, well, I don't want to get them burnt out. They're playing baseball year round. And you're screaming at them from the stands to throw harder. And then wondering why their shoulder's hurting at the age of 14. And you're telling them, you're 14. You don't have injuries. You're fine. Wrong. Wrong. They're not fine. And they probably are injured because they have no strength. They've been playing a game year round for who knows, from the age of 8 all the way to 14 with no strength training. And you as a parent are just sitting there. Well, they'll just get stronger as they get older, or they'll get stronger when they get in school and they start lifting weights. Hey, let me tell you something. I am not going to come down on scholastic coaches, coaches that are in school, teaching kids how to weight lift. They have 30 kids and one of them. And odds are that coach has not had the time or taken the time to really learn how to get people stronger. They're an offensive line coach. They've probably been out of school for 10 to 15 years. And they have a ton of responsibilities within that school day. And they have to be concerned about the safety, which we all should be. However, when there's 30 kids, you're not able to check every form. How do I know this? Because I've got a 13-year-old that just started what they call athletics training in school. And thankfully, I know his coaches. His coaches do it the right way. They're teaching kids biomechanics before they're putting barbells on their backs. And they're trying to teach kids how to move properly with weight in order to get stronger. But they got 30 kids, man. They got to keep it so watered down because the last thing they want to do is deal with a lawsuit. So they really aren't able to make kids better. It's just the cream rises to the top. So the kids that are already gifted by God above, they're going to be able to show out. But those other kids, they see that, and then that's when they want to quit. That's why there's people like me that, yes, I have been blessed. God has blessed me with the ability at age 43 to retire from one career and go to school and get the education for another career. I'm blessed, but I'm here and I'm here to help and I want to help. I love training that kid that people go, well, he's all right, but I think he could be better. And I love helping that kid get better. I love it. Because that's the kid that if they really love the game and they're just at it, they do a couple of things pretty good, they do one thing great, but they're always kind of overshadowed by someone else. I love helping that kid, we'll use a baseball terminology, become a 5-tool player. Now, am I a hitting coach? No. Do I understand hitting? Sure. Yeah, it's biomechanical. If you understand how the body should move and then sit down and study that thing and you can pick up on it, sure, you can teach kids how to hit. Can I teach them all the nuances that maybe a former major leaguer can? No, I don't have that kind of experience. Am I a pitching coach? No. I understand the biomechanics of it, understand how to get the very basis of it and how to get them stronger so they can throw harder and more efficiently. But again, nuances, can I offer that as opposed to a major leaguer or even a collegiate pitcher? No, I can't. And I'm aware of that and I stay in my lane. But I can watch someone swing a bat and tell you where they're weak. I can watch a quarterback throw a ball and tell you where they're weak and why they aren't getting more distance or accuracy on their throw. I can do the same thing with a linebacker, a running back, because I sit down and I study how the body should work. And for me, I would much rather see it take 6 months to a year and get a kid to do proper movements as opposed to, look, I can make him jump high and put it on social media. It's really cool. And then 3 months later, that kid's got a torn ACL at the age of 15 because nobody took the time with him to do strength training It was just a whole bunch of plyometric work. Because strength training will stunt their growth. If you still believe that, you are uneducated and you haven't chosen to go look up National Institutes of Health or even the Mayo Clinic, where their studies have stated strength training is perfectly safe for kids. The problem with that is you get coaches who don't understand what I would refer to as rules of engagement and escalation of force with kids. I know that sounds very militaristic, but escalation of force with kids. I've got a 6-year-old. Can he pick up a 100-pound dumbbell? Sure. I watched him do it one day. Do I let him do that on a regular basis? No. Because he can't hold that core bracing and he doesn't need to. He gets very, very frustrated with me because I've got him with a 20-pound dumbbell doing goblet squats. I make him do unweighted step ups, banded overhead press. Why can't I use heavier weight? Because you're not ready, because you can't maintain a core brace that long. Could I put him all over social media? And do I? Sure, yeah. But could I put him all over social media picking up a 100-pound dumbbell? Sure, I could. But why? What's that do for him? It increases his risk of getting injured and then stunning his growth. I'd rather show that he can master his body weight at age of 6, do the plyometric stuff, get stronger, and basically document him growing into a better athlete as he gets older. Can I prevent him from getting injured? No. If you ever go to a coach who says, I work in injury prevention, conduct the fastest about face you can imagine, and walk away, they're lying. They're lying. There's no such thing as bulletproofing the body or bulletproofing the knees. There's no such thing as it. It's just clever marketing. Because I can't do anything on that football field for one of my kids if someone hits them from a lateral angle in their knee. I can't do anything about it. I don't care how strong you are. That knee's not going to last. I can't prevent an ankle sprain. Can I do things that reduce the risk for that? Absolutely. And that's what I do. I'm more focused with youth athletes on making healthy adults. Why? Because we as a society are as unhealthy as it gets. So I want to be a small part of helping the next generation be healthy again, have a lifestyle of being athletic. That means running, sprinting, jumping, hopping, lifting weights, not sitting on the couch playing video games. There's where these youth athletes go to crap. They spend 8 hours on a video game or 6 hours on a video game. Is there anything wrong with giving them an hour a week on it? No. The majority of a kid's time should be spent in unstructured play. What does that mean? They're outside playing. They're outside learning how their body moves. Teaching themselves how to move. Now, if you got a good coach, that coach is going to correct any kind of imbalance they may have and make them more efficient. That's the whole goal. So if you've got that kid, back to my earlier point, that their whole goal in life right now, like my youngest, he's been this way since he was about 2 years old. His first word was football. His second word was touchdown. You ask him what he's going to do, he's going to play linebacker for Texas A&M. Then he's going to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And he says, and if I got enough time, I'll play shortstop for the Rangers. That's his focus. He loves it, every bit of it. He doesn't always love training, but for the most part, I have to give him credit. He recognizes that it makes him better, especially when he's outperforming his peers. So I don't mind pushing him, and I don't think it's overboard when I say, hey, bud, what is your goal? Play at Texas A&M. Okay. Well, the sooner we work at it, the better. I take 45 minutes of his day 4 times a week. That's it. 45 minutes. Then I take 2 days a week. One day we work on football drills, and he thinks it's a game. So he doesn't view it as work. And then we go work baseball the next day. And again, he views it as a game. Good example. Yesterday, played flag football with him and his brothers. I'm coaching him as we're playing flag football, and he's doing what I'm telling him to do, and he's still having fun. So I don't feel bad when I'm training that kid because that kid wants to do it. If you're the parent that goes, well, I want him to play at this school, ask that kid what they want to do first. Don't bring them to a coach, because the parents that go, well, I want them to do this, and then they bring them to a coach, you are the parents that go, well, why aren't you fixing him? Well, because we only get them 3 to 4 times a week, which totals up maybe 6 hours out of the week. Where are they the other hours out of that week? They're at home. So parents, you got to do something with them. And, I work out to where I may get a kid 3 days a week, but I've got stuff on my app for them to do at home. And that's where the parents come in to help them and encourage them. And hopefully the parents are doing it with them. That'd be even better, because I can tell you that my kids, when I ask them to do something that they think is way above their ability level and they see me do it, then they kind of go, oh, okay. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. Dad's doing it. I got it. And they generally succeed and they shock themselves. So don't be that parent that shoves your kid into that, because those parents are the ones that expect a coach to work miracles. We're not miracle workers. We help, but the kid has to have the desire. I train a youth softball player, travel softball player. Very good. This girl is very good. And I ask all kids, are you here because you want to be here, or are you here because your parents told you to be here? And this young lady looked at me and she said, I want to play softball at Oklahoma. She said, I had to beg my parents to do this for me. So I check in with all my kids, and I'll ask them, hey, how's the season going? Things like that. And I'll talk to the parents. And she and her parents told me, I feel so much faster on the base pass. Her dad said, she's throwing the ball harder. And she's hitting. He said, used to be she was like a, slap single type player. Now she's hitting doubles. He said she just moves much better. So that's what I do. Now, here's my statistics for you. If you got that kid that you think has the opportunity to play college sports, and this is going to get very discouraging, but that's not what it's intended. There is a 0.003% chance of them playing collegiate football. There's 81,000 collegiate football players across all levels of collegiate football. There are 27.3 million youth athletes in America. Collegiate basketball, again, all levels, male and female this time, 0.0014. Oh, I'm sorry, that was baseball. So that's not male and female, just males. 0.0014. All levels. Collegiate basketball, 0.0013. And then collegiate soccer, 0.0032. That sounds super discouraging. However, if you get your youth athlete training, you're increasing their chance. I coach 3 different sports, all at the youth level. I end up teaching kids more about how to run because they're not taught how to run, and every person needs to be taught how to run, than I do teaching them about the sport. Because if they can't run, they can't really play the sport. Running is the foundation of almost all sports. I spend time teaching them how to throw a ball and watch their elbow down below their shoulder. That's a strength issue. They're not strong enough to hold the ball away from their head and get their elbow up high. So what do? Do we allow them to continue doing that and go, well, they'll get stronger? But while they're doing it that way, they're forming a bad habit, a horrible habit. And because they're compensating, they're creating or they're developing a higher risk for injury by doing it incorrectly. That's where my mind goes watching kids. Most parents go, oh, they'll get better at it the more they play it, which is true for most people. You want to get better at your sport? Play your sport more. However, there is a lot to be said that if you want to get better at your sport, learn how to move your body. Get stronger so that you move your body more powerfully. The stronger you are, the less susceptible you are to injuries. Get taught how to run properly. You'll get faster. Get pushed hard. Get uncomfortable. You will begin to see results. And then parents, you got to preach patience, which most people are not these days. Most people, even the parents, because most parents are going to be the type that they have their New Year's resolution. They are at the gym on January 2nd. And by March 1st, they don't see the gym the rest of the year. So they're in that 70% of people who quit in the after the first 3 months, and they've just given a gym a year's worth of money. That's why gyms want the entire year paid up front, because they know people are going to fall off and they want their money. So if you're that type of parent, don't expect your kid to be patient, and don't expect your kid to persevere and not quit, because the example that they're getting is, I don't have time for this. I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it. I quit. I know. You're going right now, I don't want to hire this guy. He's way too honest. He's mean. I'm not mean. I am just truthful and honest about it, because I believe that we need to be truthful and honest about this, because it deals with our kids. I don't charge an astronomical amount. I don't, because they are kids. But I do charge because it is a business, but I want, more than anything, to watch kids get better. I did 20 years in the Army, and best thing in the world, I had a former soldier text me last Thursday night. Last Thursday night, I think. Yeah. Um, and sent me pictures. He has a new phone number. I hadn't talked to him in probably uh, six years. I hadn't talked to this guy in 6 years. Text me out of the blue. Hey, Sergeant Rod, it's so and so. I said, hey man, how you doing? Long time no hear. He said, I'm great. I just wanted to send you pictures of my brand new twin baby boys. I said, man, congratulations. That's the best gift in the world. Now, I say that to let you know who I am. To me, the fact that that young man thought about me 6 years after I had talked to him and shared with me pictures of his brand new twin baby boys, that means I left an impact on him, a positive one, a positive impact. That's called legacy. And I told all my junior leaders when I was a platoon sergeant, look, don't look for people to come tell you you're doing a great job now. It's not going to happen. Don't look for anybody to tout your leadership and your abilities for the next 2 to 3 years. Don't look for your boss to do it. I'm not going to do it. My boss isn't going to do it for me, because we're in the thick of it. So all we can do is be demanded more of. And that's what happens. But you find out your legacy years later, when that soldier hadn't spoken to you in 6 years, send you pictures of his baby boys. That lets me know that guy knew that I cared about him. That's what I do this for. It would be great. There's a coach, his name's Joey Burgle, super good coach. So before anybody, runs to him and say, I'm talking smack. No, I'm not. He is outstanding. He trained Jordan Love when Jordan Love was a teenager. Still has contact with him. Jordan Love still credits him a great deal with his success going from high school to college. And now we all know Jordan Love's starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. I'm not chasing dollar signs. I'm chasing that. If anybody's in this business chasing dollar signs, they're morons. What you see on social media, buy my $6.99 app, they make it so cheap because they want the masses to buy it. They're not really concerned about people getting better. They're not concerned about their legacy. They're concerned about right now, pay me, show me the money so I can keep living the cushy life. They are the pretenders. I have no problem saying it. I'm a real one because I want each and every person I train to be successful. And 5 years from now, you know, if I'm training a 13-year-old 5 years from now, watch that kid sign a collegiate scholarship letter of intent to go play their sport in college. I'll be honest, I don't even really care if they call me and say thank you. I don't care if they give me a shout out. It's enough for me to sit here and go, I've been training that kid for the last 5 years. I helped him get to where he is, or her. That's awesome. That's outstanding. So there's some insight into why I do what I do. Will I train adults? Absolutely. I'll train anybody who comes to me. Anybody. Will I do a $6.99 program on an app? I don't think I ever will. I don't think I ever will, because the bottom line of it is every person's different and every program should be built to that person, not just to the masses, not just to market to everyone. Uh, and I know everybody goes, well, man, you know, you got to market to a massive audience. No, I don't. I'd rather keep my integrity. I'd rather have a business that makes 10,000 a month as opposed to 60,000 a month and lay my head down at night going, I helped people today. That's the truth of it. So went on a little bit longer than what I wanted to, and I always do, but it's my show. Love it, like it, hate it. That's your choice. Remember, number one, Jesus is Lord. Number two, 2 Chronicles 15:7. Do not let your hands be weak, for the Lord shall reward the work of your hands. Last point, you know, the Bible talks a lot about strength. And some theologian's going to listen to this and go, well, it means spiritual strength. Now, God didn't specify it. And pretty sure God specifies a lot of things. Strength. Strong in mind. Strong in emotions. Strong spiritually. Strong relationship with the Lord. But also strong in body. If the body is a temple, why don't we decorate it with some muscle? Just throwing it out there. You guys have a great one. Go ahead, DM me via Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. It's all Parabellum Fitness LLC on each one of those platforms. Feel free, like, comment, share, hit the notification bell. I would love if you did that because I would love to See if people will actually listen to what I'm saying. So please, share this. You guys have a great one. Talk to you next week.